Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Astoria-Warrenton Area Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours. This is our first foray into doing Business After Hours as a digital event. We've had a couple of chamber networking breakfasts so far, so this is our first Business After Hours. So thank you to those of you who joined us tonight. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you all have been having some good conversations and catching up with a few fellow chamber members that you may not have seen in a while. So again, Remo is the platform that we're using tonight. Hopefully you've had a chance to test out some of the features, hop around to different tables. Again, if you double click on any table, you can move over to that table. So yeah, if you see someone you want to talk to, feel free as we go back to networking after the presentation to hop around to different tables and chat with folks. If you hold your mouse over the little icons, the little people sitting at each table, you can see who each person is. I'd like to introduce, if he's ready, our executive director, David Reed. He'd like to say a few words and welcome you guys tonight. And he's zooming from the other building here at the chamber, from his desk over in the other building. And I think he's got a new member report for us. We've had some new members join in the last couple months. So that's pretty exciting as well. So David, if you've got your cam on and mic on, we should hopefully be able to see you on the screen with me here. Cam on, mic on. Maybe he stepped away from his desk. I don't know. Maybe his technology died. It's a mystery. I can't see him. He's in the other building. Jerry, are you out there? Can you turn your cam and mic on? Maybe you want to share a little bit about our new members that we've got coming up. I always have them written down. There's Jerry. Hi there, Jerry.
Hi there. Hi there, everybody.
So you've been back in the office recruiting new members for us.
Well, so we have several new members. We've got the Tractor Supply that just opened up out in the Warrenton area. Great store, great people. Looking forward to having them in the community. And then we've got Astoria-Warrenton. We just did a ribbon cutting for them a couple weeks ago. We're excited about having them. They opened the very next day right afterwards. I think it was August 1st they opened. Had the ribbon cutting on the 31st.
And if you haven't already checked out their Facebook page, they've got some beautiful photos of the interior of their space right on the water. It looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it was very nice. A lot of people showed up. The mayor showed up, and we appreciated that. Then they allowed several people in at a time in small groups to give them a tour, which was very nice. Everybody loved it. Did a beautiful job at that place. So let's see. Who else do we have? We have
Red Leaf Organic Coffee over in Warrenton.
Yes. Yeah, that was in about a month ago, and they're inside the TLC there. Got a great little new concept there with coffee inside the tank, inside the credit union. So great concept, and they're just getting started. It's something new, but the people that are coming in, I've heard they love it, and being able to go in and enjoy doing some business and getting a nice, great cup of coffee.
And you don't have to be a TLC Fiber Federal Credit Union member to use the coffee stand. You can go in there and buy coffee just as a member of the general public.
Yeah, yeah, and that group is out of Longview. They've got several other stores there, so this is the first one out of the area where they normally have been operating. So it's a test for them. I'm sure they're going to do great. So we're appreciating that they opened up in our communities. So,
and we've got partners for the PreK. Yeah. With exciting brand new news about their building's new name. They had a dedication ceremony. Yeah, I believe it's Charlene Larson Center for the Performing Arts or something like that.
Yes. Yep. Boy, you're putting me on the spot here. I'm drawing a blank.
That's all right. Brumfield Gallery. Yep. And they were down in Cannon Beach, I believe, as Imprint Gallery, and decided to open an Astoria location.
Yeah,
and so that's
there, and they opened up here. Mike's got a really great place there. Encourage everybody to stop in and welcome them. They've really done a beautiful job with the interior of the place. Cambium Gallery is another one that just opened up, and they're brand new. They're going to be opening. Actually, they're still in the process of remodeling in there, so they really haven't completely opened up yet. We're going to be doing a ribbon cutting for them, so stay tuned for that when that's going to be. And again, all of these type of ribbon cuttings that we're doing now, just so everybody knows, is we've really tried to scale that back. We want to make sure that we're being safe. So we're making sure we have a big enough area. And if we don't, then we're just going to wait. So and in most cases, everybody's agreed with that. But we will definitely let everybody know if we do something there as well. So yeah, we've been getting a lot of new members. It's great to see people coming on board. It's great to see people starting businesses in this time, which, kudos to them. We just really want to support them and let them know that we are there to support them. So,
yeah. And for anybody who wants to get out on the water this summer, what little of it we have left, and doesn't own their own boat, we've got a new chamber member that's starting a tour company, Columbia River Adventure Boats. Though I hear that maybe that might not be the name he's sticking with. He might be rebranding. He's
going to be going with Columbia River Cruising, or Columbia River Cruise. And he's in the process of renaming it right now, but basically just wanted to kind of really have his name be more of what he really is doing. It's a great cruise. And there's several. Actually, we've got another one that really is going to be getting a lot of business starting tomorrow is Lance Fisher Fishing. He's just going to be, knocking them dead, as they say when you're pulling them in. But yeah, buoy 10 fishing season starts tomorrow, so it's an exciting time around these parts. Boy, great weather and fishing season open up. You just can't beat that. So I'm sure he's going to see some great business. So yeah, and the last one that I know of is the Lower Columbia Youth Soccer Association, and they're still finding ways to allow kids to do outdoor sports and keep them safe at the same time under the state guidelines for group activities. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they're a great organization helping keep kids active in the county. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, Jerry. Appreciate you sharing some of the new members that we've got. And go ahead and turn your camera and microphone off, and I will transition into the next section here. So for those of you who are joining us tonight, one of the great reasons why you want to come to Business After Hours every month is that we do this wonderful thing called the Cash Pot Drawing. So our Chamber Ambassador Committee hosts that out of the funds that they raise at the Crab Seafood and Wine Festival every year. Though, of course, this year we did not have a in-person Crab Seafood and Wine Festival. But they still have generously offered to continue the cash pot drawing now that we're back to doing Business After Hours again. So the cash pot drawing is $450 tonight. So we'll do that a little bit later after the presentation. But I just wanted to remind people that that was coming up and encourage them to stick around. So basically up next, we have our featured host organization. So we have Sharon Benson and Paula Seed with Smart Reading, and they have a great presentation prepared for us tonight. So Smart Reading, if you haven't already heard of their organization, is a children's literacy nonprofit that serves kids in Oregon's highest need schools with 2 ingredients critical for literacy and learning success: one-on-one reading time and access to books. They mobilize volunteers to read with pre-K through 3rd grade children at Astor-Warrenton, Seaside Heights and Clatskanie elementary schools, building confidence, literacy skills, and a love of reading. So if Sharon and Paula want to turn your camera and your microphones on, we'll get you guys lined up for a presentation. So Sharon is the Smart Reading Senior Development Officer. She's been with Smart Reading for 6 years and in education for 30 years. Sharon, wave hello. She resides in Portland and travels around Oregon for Smart. She's run the Great Columbia Crossing once, which we're all for here at the Chamber. She prefers Buoy Beer's Pilsner and Sand Trap's Tater Tots. And in fact, we both thought alike and brought some Buoy Beer tonight to enjoy during
Not
our
open yet.
hour. And our other Smart Reading staff member is Paula, and she is the Senior Program Manager for the North Coast and Northeast areas. She and her husband, Brian, moved to Oregon in 2003 from Ventura County, California, when he transferred here with his job at Intel. And Paula was in domestic and international banking for 30 years, primarily as a letter of credit expert. She's lived all over the West Coast, including many places in California, Seattle, and now in Washington County. So without further ado, here are Sharon and Paula to share more about smart reading. And if anybody has any questions during the course of their presentation, be sure to drop those in the general chat, and we'll be able to collect those questions at the end and be able to share that with them so that you guys can get the answers to your questions.
Great. Thank you so much for having us. We're really glad to be here. And I think there's different ways you can format your screen so you don't have to stare at us the entire time. Kelsey will tell you how to make our presentation bigger.
In the corner of the presentation, up by the green smart reading program, in the upper right-hand corner, there should be a couple little arrows that say full screen. So that's how you can make the slide deck a little bit bigger for easier reading during the presentation.
Okay, so thank you again for having us. We're going to talk a little bit about how SMART is altering our programs for the coming school year, since we're going to be in hybrid situation with the schools due to the pandemic. And thank you, Kelsey, for changing the slides. Next slide, please. So many of you know that our mission is to spark joy and opportunity through the magic of a shared book. And we also know that kids are facing staggering learning losses from being away from school for 6 months. So our model of having access to books, which means we get free books into the hands of kids from low-income families, and we also provide them reading practice. Those two things are going to be needed now more than ever. So we have some guiding parameters, even though we're in a new reality with schools being doing distance learning or maybe on campus part of the time. There's some things that we just keep centered here at SMART, and that is that kids are our first priority and that we want to keep things simple for our education partners. We don't have a storefront, we don't have buildings, we are program driven, and we leverage our volunteers and our staff by going into public schools. So we are in the schools as guests of the teachers and the principals, and we want to make things simple and easy for them this year because they've got a pretty heavy lift. We want to continue to engage volunteers in our work. I think we had 60 volunteers in Clatskanie County last year reading one-on-one with kids, and we're not going to be able to do that this year. So we are finding other ways to involve them in our work because that connection with their kids is really important. So we're going to be doing more with family engagement as well, and access and equity are always a part of our work. So I mentioned that we had 60 volunteers, and they read with 156 students, and we're at Astor and Warrenton and Gearhart, which of course is combining with Seaside Heights, and then a new school this year, which was great to be in Columbia County as well. So this year we'll continue to get new books to kids, the ones that need it the most, and we're going to be introducing some virtual reading. So the implications of COVID-19 on our work is that no volunteers, no visitors in the schools for now. That was a pretty sad realization. We have 5,000 Oregonians around the state who volunteer for us, and they were very sad to hear that, but they also understand the safety issues. So school properties may or may not be open. Regardless, last spring, after schools closed, we were able to mobilize and work with teachers to get 33,000 books into the hands of kids after schools closed. So here's just a little 30-second commercial about SMART to break things up. It goes really fast, so tune in to learn a little bit more about SMART.
If we can get the video to work here.
The SMART program is a way for us to invest in our children to have a better tomorrow. When we sit down
So out of the mouth of babes, you can hear why reading is important to our students. We are ready for the next slide. Thank you, Kelsey. So what we're going to be focusing on this year is book distribution and virtual SMART. And the next slide will show you a little bit of detail about our book distribution. So if there's one thing we know at SMART, we know about high interest, age appropriate books. And we've been doing this for a long time, almost 30 years. And so we've gotten to know some of the best children's literature that's out there. In fact, just a little shout out to Patsy Oser. She has been known to give me a few titles now and then because she loves children's literature too. So in the past, the kids have gotten to pick out books twice a month. We'll probably be moving to monthly distribution, and we'll probably be working with entire classrooms or cohorts of students. That's a term we've been hearing a lot of from educators. So they're going to be grouping kids in cohorts. So we'll be working to streamline our distribution, and it'll probably be with entire classrooms or whatever's easiest for the school. We also have hundreds of titles that we offer, but we might not be able to offer all of those titles in order to distribute books quickly and efficiently. So we could be working off of a curated book list. The selections will change every month, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to introduce kids to new books. Next slide. So what's going to be happening with Virtual SMART, it's very exciting. We are piloting a model that we created. So there's three different parts to it. So we will ask our volunteers who love to read aloud with their students to record themselves reading aloud. And we will offer those recordings to teachers to play in their classroom at story time, or students will be able to access them at home as they're accessing their curriculum. We'll also do live group read aloud. So our volunteers will be reading aloud a book and sharing it with a classroom through the computer. That's another option. And then we're also piloting with families where there would be a student selected book, and the student would be selected by the teacher, pick out a book online, and actually read that book together with an adult. It would actually be 2 adults using the rule of 3, which is a safety measure for the students. And we're going to be piloting that as soon as next month, which is really exciting. Next slide. So this is what Virtual SMART may look like. This is the prototype that you're seeing. So you would enter a virtual story room as the student or the reader. You would choose first, second, or third grade. One thing that's really important to SMART is that the students choose the books. It's very important for them to have choice. You can click on a category. There might be different genres: discovery, adventure, playtime. And then from that genre, you can pick out a title. And you can see here some of the old standbys, Cat in the Hat, Goodbye Moon, and then some of the new great titles in children's literature right now. I see Pete the Cat and The Pigeon. And then you actually click on that and you open it up and it takes you through page by page, and you can read at your own rate. You can read at your own pace, and it can be interactive with someone who is on the computer on the other side of the virtual realm. Next slide. So we've been getting a lot of feedback on this virtual smart and on our new variation on book distribution. We have an educator cohort from around the state, and we do have coastal representation on that cohort. They've been a great sounding board for us. We are running a virtual pilot program, and we've invited families to participate. We know that access is an issue in rural areas and in other areas for a variety of reasons. Kids do not have connectivity. So we are working really hard with the schools to make sure that all kids have some type of connectivity. And that's why the books are really important too. Okay, volunteer engagement. I'm going to let Paula take over from here.
You've got your mic turned off there. There we go. Now we can hear you.
There we go. Okay. Let me get back to this so I can read it. I need this to enlarge. So I need to enlarge my volunteer engagement piece here. So
there should be a little button in the upper right-hand corner of the slides that looks like little arrows.
Right. Yeah. And I'm clicking on that and it's not opening up.
Full screen.
No. It's not doing that. I've got something in the middle of my screen that says the host is asking you to turn on your microphone.
Uh-oh.
And it's on.
Might be able to click OK or click off of that button.
I did. There we okay. I needed to click it twice. Sorry about that. Okay. So what we know, and we've known for the past almost 30 years, that volunteers are the lifeblood of SMART. The work wouldn't happen without them. And we have our lead volunteers at each site or school, and they are the ones that week in and week out work with the folks that are doing the one-on-one reading with the kids. So they are our lead volunteers, and then we have our readers. And of course, things are going to look very different this coming year. There's going to be no in-person reading. And roles for everyone, staff and volunteers, are changing. And I'm going to expound here in that we are being flexible with our sites. We would love to go in and do one classroom at a time. I've spoken with one principal, and he wants his highest need kids served first. And we're certainly going to work with him on that. So we are being flexible. We're starting off with book distribution, which will keep our coordinators, our lead volunteers, engaged. And I've been speaking with them. Everybody wants to come back. Everybody wants to be involved. And as Sharon said, the readers can be involved, maybe helping with that with proper social distancing, and also doing the reading the books. And we also have something in the works. A lot of this isn't finalized. It's kind of like a pen pal. You can have a student that you read a book with, or that you want to discuss a book with, and you can do emails back and forth. And of course, that will keep the coordinators engaged as well. And what I've learned from the websites and the parent letters, I haven't been able to speak with the principals yet. It's a very busy time for them. They just got back last week, so I'm trying to make appointments with all the principals. But at Astor, they are going in for virtual studying hoping to progress into a hybrid. That means that there's virtual and then they would be on campus some other days. Warrenton, I just spoke with the coordinator yesterday, and her son is a member of their school district. So I think this is pretty up to date. They're hoping to go in with K through 3 going on site 4 days a week, and then 1 day of virtual, with the upper grades being mostly virtual. And this is just, I'm just going to give you an example of how we're trying to keep things simple for everybody. Because can you imagine the task if you're familiar with Warrenton Grade School? There's 700 kids in that school because it's K through 8. So this is an example of how we're working with everybody. So what we're committed to, as I said, keeping our volunteers engaged. We don't want to lose them. They want to be involved. And some of them, this is the social highlight of their week. So we're taking all of that into consideration. And so I gave you some examples, we're finding new and exciting ways for volunteers to plug in. And we're going to be training and supporting everybody in these new roles and new ways of doing SMART. We are at this point not asking our volunteers to go into the school, but we can to help get materials or get things from the school to our coordinators. So you know what we're doing there. So some of the ways that our volunteers can be involved is to support the book distribution, which is the first thing we're going to be doing. That is sorting books, creating book bundles to, we're going to personalize those bundles, hopefully to the children's tastes. Do a pre-recorded or live read-aloud session for the classroom. Engage in a virtual student volunteer reading sessions. And Sharon talked about that's our rule of 3. Join our tech team of volunteers who support virtual programming options. So we are gleaning information and asking for help from all our volunteers and, asking for their knowledge. They can become a read aloud coach and support other volunteers in training for and practicing read aloud sessions. Oh, there's the Pen Pal. Anyway, take part in the Smart Pen Pal program. Write a note to a smart student. And we're through with that slide. And we are going to be starting, these slides were made a little while ago, but our start date, and we're going to have a window of 2 weeks. Our start date this year will be October 26th as opposed to October 15th. We're giving everybody a little breathing space. And then we're going to start out with book distribution. And then maybe a month into the program, we're going to start with the pre-recorded read aloud, the live read aloud, and then the individual shared reading sessions. Okay, I think we're taking this back to Sharon, or am I going on with this?
I can take it from here, Paula. Thank you.
Right. Sure.
So we're on a really short turnaround time, as the schools are too. So we are putting together all of our protocols and our policy and starting some internal training right now. We're vetting our models with the principals. We're talking to principals every day. What we're hearing overwhelmingly across the state is, yes, please come back. We want SMART. The kids need the books, and we're interested in the content with the read aloud, the virtual reading as well. So it's very encouraging. The community support is overwhelming. September, we're going to be getting ready to roll. We're going to be giving out volunteer assignments and doing some training. And the schools get to choose which model that's going to work for them. And then we'll be rolling this out October through December. Well, it wouldn't be a chamber meeting without a shout out to the sponsors, right, Kelsey? So here's just a few of our sponsors that we wanted to say thank you to: Bowie Beer, Yay, Bowie Beer. Again, it's not open because I'm not done with my presentation. Columbia Bank, Fiber Federal, Gearhart Golf Links, Hampton Lumber, Reed and Hertig, the Oregon Community Foundation, United Way, Walnut City Wine Works, Windermere, also Rite Aid Foundation. I talked to them today. And of course, our educators and volunteers. So thank you everyone for your support. If you have any questions or concerns or suggestions, you can write them in the chat box now, but you can always reach Paula or I at our email addresses that are here. And of course, we're members of the Chamber as well, and we'd be happy to talk with you further. Thank you again for having us, everyone. Thanks for your support.
We really appreciate you and Paula joining us, Sharon. And I have a couple questions just because I think your program is great and I'm curious about some of the aspects of it. So the books that the kids get to read with their reading buddies, they actually get to keep those books and take them home with them, right? And what percentage of the students that you serve would you say don't have their own books at home if it wasn't for SMART? Is there a lot of kids that don't have their own home library?
We still hear stories across the state of kids that do not have books in the home. I don't have a percentage for you. I'm shocked when I hear that. I grew up with books in the home. My kids grew up with books in the home. It is a privilege that I didn't know that a lot of kids don't have.
It looks like, go ahead, Paula.
Well, I was going to say, that's why I joined as well. I went to a brown bag lunch to hear about this organization called SMART and heard that not all the kids, that some kids do not have books in their homes. Brought me to tears. Yeah. Right there, in front of God and everybody. So I, right then I joined, and I've been working with SMART since 2006 as a volunteer or as a staff member, but we hear all the time from teachers. And in a normal year, and it may happen this year too, I mentioned that some of the neediest kids want to be prioritized at a school. What was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought here. But they are chosen by the teachers as they pick the kids who get to come to SMART Reading, because we can't serve everybody. We'd love to serve everybody. If we had enough volunteers, we certainly would. But they choose the kids who need our help the most. Either they need a one-on-one time with an adult, they have no books in the home, of course, if they need help with their reading. Mm-hmm. So that is a really great question. There are a lot of kids out there that do not have books.
And have you been hearing feedback from the different schools and the principals and your SMART Reading adult volunteers that for those kids who do need reading help, that their reading skills are not where they should be, that this program really is beneficial? Is that kind of the feedback that you've heard?
Yeah, we actually have milestones at the end of each year. We do surveys with the teachers and with the principals and with the parents. And we have milestones that show that 85% of the kids show improvement in reading comprehension, which is critical in terms of going on to be a strong reader. So we actually do have those milestones. We actually had a study done too that also showed that 60% of the kids that participate, or kids that participate in SMART, are 60% more likely to meet their third grade reading benchmark. So we're lucky we do have those kinds of statistics, and you can see more of that on our website.
And I think Pete Gimry has a question here. He asked if there was any sort of financial need for SMART Reading or any kind of way that the chamber members can help.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So we are almost more than 90% privately funded. We are of, by, and for Oregonians, and we are privately funded. So we're always taking donations for books, especially this year. That's going to be really critical. We have a great partnership with book publishers, so we can get very high quality softbound books for only $2.85, which is really a good buy.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, so we asked for donations of money instead of books for that reason. Also, we have sponsorships available. In fact, a shout out to Hampton Lumber, who is sponsoring our program at Warrenton, which is great. Windermere is sponsoring our program at Gearhart, which is now moving to Seaside Heights. I'm forgetting another sponsor. Oh no, I'm going to be in trouble. So yes, there's lots of different ways to get involved. Unfortunately, we couldn't have our golf scramble this year, but McMinimum's Soundtrap has said that they'll do a friends and family night for us. So stay tuned for that. It'll probably be early next year. And then we have a really great readathon, which is completely virtual, and that'll be happening in February. And you can participate in the readathon, and I think you can say you're going to raise $325 for SMART, and you can read a book, and it can be online and live, and it's a big to-do. It's really, really fun. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, I actually tuned in. You guys did a readathon earlier this year during COVID, and Governor Brown read a book, and I believe a few of the Trailblazers read the books. I mean, there was some of your awesome, fantastic regular volunteers who haven't been able to read to their students, and then some fun celebrities, just everybody sharing the love of reading together in Oregon. That was really cool.
Yeah, if you haven't seen CJ McCollum read a book, a children's book, he has a very quiet demeanor, and then halfway through his reading of, I can't remember what children's book it was, you see that sort of pans out and he crosses his legs and has these huge monster slippers on. It was the cutest.
Like fluffy bunny slippers.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally random, just because I'm curious. Do you have any feedback on what are some of the more popular books with kids, ones that kids really love or request really frequently? Is it more of the classics, or is it a lot of the newer books?
Do you want to take this one, Paula, or you want me to?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, there's some of the classics, but now there's Pete the Cat and there's Fancy Nancy. But I'll tell you, about 4 years ago, we introduced Junior National Geographics.
Oh, yeah.
Those are by far the most popular.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed. That's a really interesting discovery.
Yes, and in all sites.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And that's boys and girls, and I had a first grader tell one of my, when I was coordinating, I had a first grader tell one of my readers that I like these books. And he's first grade. He says, because it gives me the facts.
One of that fake news for him. He's only going to have the facts.
That's it. And so those go over, those are baby zoo animals. Those are snakes. Those are spiders. Those are anything to do with animals, especially the volcano ones. They don't really move, but the others.
Well, I keep a small selection of children's books at my house. I've got nieces and nephews, and I think my favorite one to read personally is Dragons Love Tacos.
Oh, yeah.
That is such a funny little book, and that just came out a few years ago. But I consider it a classic on my shelf. That's a good one.
That was every year we have a contest to see. We just introduced 5 books to the kids, maybe books they wouldn't have normally read. And this is statewide, and they asked them to vote on those books. This is called our annual book award. And Dragons Love Tacos won a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's a really good one, really cute. So anybody who has younger readers in their lives, or who's just like me and 30 plus years old and still likes reading books for any age group, check that out. Dragons Love Tacos, available at your local bookseller. That's a pretty fun one, pretty cute illustrations and a funny story. I don't see any additional questions in chat. I see that Pete Gimry is interested in some information on sponsorships. So if you're in the same boat as Pete and you're interested in that, feel free to email Sharon and learn more information. Assistance League interested in partnering. United Way already is a partner. So yeah, we've got some great community support for children's literacy, and that's awesome to see.
Could I give one more shout out to somebody?
Of course.
And this is Lucy's Books. She has given books, run a couple of programs, and gotten books out to Warrenton Grade School and to Astor. And she's run a fundraiser for us from her store. So big supporter, you know, obviously book lovers.
Yeah, I've spent more than my fair share of money at her store. She's got a great selection and really just a love of books and great recommendations. You know, if you walk in her store and you don't know what you want to read, she's always got something for you. All right, well, I don't see any additional questions right now in chat, but as always, feel free to email Paula or Sharon if you have another question that wasn't answered tonight, or if you need to touch base with the chamber, we'd be happy to pass along your questions to them. Paula, Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast learning more about your program, about smart reading, and all the great work it's doing, even in these especially difficult times. So thank you both for joining us, and we really appreciate it. Go ahead and turn off your cameras and microphones, and we will move into a few more announcements here. And then once we finish up the program, we're also going to have some additional time for networking as well. So yeah, Paula just dropped her email into chat there. So if you're
it's starting to. Let me do that again.
I came through on my end. So anyway, moving on, we have some fun events upcoming at the chamber. And so I think if I can have David.
I did it.
There we go. We were having technical difficulties earlier, so we prevented him from saying hi to everyone.
Everybody's learning. Thank you very much for having me. And that was a fantastic program. Thank you, Kelsey. That was a good interview. Your news background really paid off here.
Can you tell I'm a big book nerd?
Exactly. So yeah, and Jerry told you about the new members that we've got. The thing that I think we're discovering now, if we didn't already know it, is that the support in this community is second to none. If we're talking about you know, kids reading, or if we're talking about support for the schools or support for local businesses, this is the place you want to be. So thank you everybody for all of that. Thanks for joining us tonight. Upcoming events. The next big chamber event, we are having an event. We are having the Great Columbia Crossing. It is going to be different than it's been before. It is not going to be a live run across the bridge, but it is going to be a lot of fun. And there's some great prizes and there's some great swag that comes along with it. So please don't write off Great Columbia Crossing. And if you don't mind sharing our information, the good news is this year with the Great Columbia Crossing, anybody in the world can do it. So we'll have the ability for the people to actually have the trip across the bridge played on their computer or their bicycle or whatever they want to do. There's going to be prizes to go along with it, but people do not have to make their way to Astoria this year to do it. We'll get it back next year, but this year I think we have a really exciting event. So don't forget about that one. Our next chamber breakfast event we're going to do on this platform. So you now all know how to do it. You've all figured out the ins and outs of it. And our speaker is going to be Betsy Johnson. That'll be on Tuesday the 25th. So we're always the last Tuesday of the month for chamber breakfast. It's still sponsored by Pacific Power. Bless them for doing that. They're normally our coffee sponsors, so you're on your own for coffee, but make sure you have it because you're going to want to have a little bit of caffeine going through your system to try to keep up with Betsy. I talked to her the other day. She's going to give us a legislative recap, and with that one-day session that just happened earlier this week, she's got a lot to say. So so she'll be open for questions and things like that. But that should be a good program. That will start at 7:45 a.m. So there'll be a little bit of time for networking before we bring Betsy on. And just like tonight, we'll have some time for networking afterwards. So again, watch your chamber chatter email that comes out every Thursday for the link to log in or to sign in, just like you did this time, or register. So just join us for that. And then finally, we're going to do the cash pot drawing. I think we're going to wait a few minutes and break back in at 6:30 and do that cash pot drawing. But we have $450 to give away tonight. So you must be present to win. So don't log off in case your name gets called. And if there's anybody that you know that should be on here, it's not too late for them to join us here. So I think I will stop talking, let you guys get back to discussing things at your table. Don't forget that you can double click and go to a different table. So if you're sitting by yourself when I get out of here, by all means, please go find somebody else. And if you see somebody that you need to connect with, do that as well. All right. Thanks, you all. I'll see you at the tables.